The
museum in Paris gives a real atmosphere of couture house because we're in the place of creation. Marrakech, it was important to create a museum in Marrakech as that's where he created. So the two are really complementary of each other. And I was going to say that if you wanted to follow the creative process, if you really wanted to understand the work of Saint Laurent, you'd start with Marrakech because that's where he drew. You'd visit the museum in Marrakech, which is a real evocation of the sensory and aesthetic inspirations of the couturier. And next, you'd come to Paris to simply follow the creative process.
Saint Laurent dessinait à partir de 66 au Maroc.
Saint Laurent drew from 66 in Morocco. He really settled himself down at his desk. Monsieur Berger told us that he'd draw for a fortnight, every day. He'd come back from Morocco with 100 drawings. He'd assemble his collaborators here in his studio, notably the head of the atelier, the fleur atelier and the tailoring atelier, and he distributed his drawings. Everyone left with their drawing, and the first stage constituted of transposing the drawing into 3D and then creating a cotton mock-up. The mock-up, so it was white cotton, already showed a finished aspect, and you could usually see the pockets, the buttons, everything that had already been drawn. The particularity of the Saint Laurent house was that Saint Laurent wanted from the off that the mock-ups be worn on live models. So when he was designing, he'd already drawn movement. As soon as the mock-up was done, the model wore it. So the model flowed past, she came in through the main doorway and walked up to the mirror, and Monsieur Saint Laurent sat at his desk, approved or didn't approve the mock-up by looking at it only through the mirror, never looking at it directly. Always in the mirror, as the mirror created the necessary distance for appreciation of the clothes. This was very important for him. It's why the principal element of this room is the mirror. If he approved the mock-up, it left for the atelier, and then the atelier sheet was started, which noted down the piece. Of course, the original design, the number of the piece, and the head of the atelier. The model and all the elements which allowed the design of the piece. Next, the material is cut into the dress and comes back worn by the model. Same process. Saint Laurent does or doesn't approve it through the mirror, and as soon as the piece is definitely approved, so starts the choosing of accessories and the sampling of embroidery, and it begins to go into what is called the collection board, which always had the drawing, the sample, the numbers of the pieces, which would make up the show.
Qui va servir à constituer le défilé.